Hey everyone, I'm Bruce, and now get ready for a nostalgia overload. Today we're diving headfirst into 50 old-school bangers that are still just as good 2 decades later. Yup, these are the dream games that defined childhoods, wrecked sleep schedules, and turned us into the lifelong gamers we are today. So if you rocked a PS2, GameCube, OG Xbox, or the glory of PC back in the day, this list is for you. So hit that like button. Drop your all-time favorite old-school game in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because we've got way more retro gold coming your way.
Hey, easy. Look, you've had an unexpected reprieve. Do exactly as I say, and I promise this will be over.
Manhunt. You play as James Earl Cash, a man who was supposed to be executed, but wakes up in Carcer City like, surprise, it's snuff film time. The mysterious director, voiced with sinister glee by Brian Cox, makes you star in his underground horror show by forcing you to brutally murder gang members on camera for survival. And by brutally, we mean sneak up behind them and shove it through the glass, shard in their neck brutal. Gameplay? Pure stealth nightmare fuel. You'll crawl through shadows, tap walls to lure enemies, and choose your flavor of kill, hasty, violent, or downright gruesome, with color-coded reticles that basically say, how much trauma do you want to cause today? Combat's not flashy, it's intimate, it's cruel, and it loves to stare you down after every kill. Guns show up later, but this ain't no shoot 'em up. It's a slasher simulator with a scoring system based on savagery. And yes, if you had a PS2 microphone, your own voice could give away your hiding spot. Genius or evil? Yes. Controversial, banned, and misunderstood. Manhunt is basically the Clockwork Orange of PS2 games. 2 decades later, it's still disturbing, unforgettable, and exactly the kind of messed up masterpiece only Rockstar could have delivered.
The gods of Olympus have abandoned me.
God of War. This is the Greek myth remix nobody saw coming. You're Kratos, a brooding Spartan with a blade problem and serious PTSD. And your job is to kill the actual god of war, Ares. Why? Because Ares tricked you into murdering your own family, which is not great mentor behavior. So now you're tearing through ancient Greece in a blood-soaked revenge tour that turns temples into traps and gods into pinatas. You've got the blades of chaos, fiery death whips chained to your wrists that could slap an army into oblivion. You'll be juggling undead soldiers mid-air, drop-kicking cyclopes and ripping minotaurs in half, like you're unwrapping a beefy present. With magic attacks from Zeus, Poseidon, Medusa and Hades himself, Kratos becomes a walking natural disaster. Quick time events, QTEs, spice up boss fights with press this button to brutally end someone's mythological career. Between solving puzzles in a temple strapped to a crawling titan and taking a god-slaying sword to the chest of Ares, God of War goes full metal opera. 2 decades later, it's still the gold standard for action-adventure. And Kratos? Still angry, still iconic. Max Payne 2. If John Woo directed a breakup, Max Payne 2 would be it. 2 years after the first game turned him into the saddest man to ever dodge bullets in slow motion, Max is back on the NYPD, older, grimmer, and somehow even more soaked in noir. Things take a sharp turn into heartbreak and homicide when femme fatale Mona Sachs walks back into his trench-coated life, dragging a conspiracy so tangled it makes Shakespeare's tragedies look like sitcoms. Gameplay's still third-person gun ballet at its finest, but bullet time got a major glow-up. Now the more stylishly you murder, the faster you move and the cooler your coat flaps. You'll dive through windows, roll through gunfights, and survive by the grace of slow-mo and painkillers. Max's only friends at this point. Thanks to the Havoc engine, every enemy collapses with glorious ragdoll physics, turning every room into a noir-flavoured demolition derby. Comic book panels still tell the story, dripping with grim metaphors and existential dread. Doesn't matter if you're dodging bullets or dodging emotions, Max Payne 2 hits harder than a sniper round to the soul. It's operatic, tragic, and yes, still painfully cool 20 years later.
Respect has to be earned, sweet, just like money. So what you saying? You don't respect me? What I'm saying is, speak up, nigga. I'm hungry.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. It's the game of our childhood. San Andreas kicks off with a classic Back to the Hood story and spins it into a Hollywood-level saga of betrayal, corruption, and exploding helicopters. You play as CJ, a streetwise ex-gangbanger who returns to Los Santos after his mum's murder, only to find his gang's turf eaten up, his friends shady as hell, and crooked cops breathing down his neck harder than a 5-star wanted level. What starts as family drama turns into a statewide chaos tour featuring hippies, casino heists, CIA missions, and one very illegal harvester chase. Gameplay is a full-blown RPG buried inside a gangster movie. You'll customize CJ with clothes, tattoos, and more body mass than a protein bar subscription. Want to dual-wield Tech 9s in a pink tracksuit after Kung Fu class? You can. You'll tag turf, hit the gym, date 6 wildly different women, learn to fly, sabotage a mafia casino, and even steal a jetpack from a secret military base. The map's massive, the chaos majestic, and the cheat codes legendary. 20 years later, San Andreas still hits harder than Tenpenny's Betrayal, and yes, you'll still hear all you had to do was follow the damn train, CJ, in your nightmares.
Blow crippling its very foundation. Not taking any chances, the President of the United States ordered a contingency plan to sterilize Raccoon City.
Resident Evil 4. This is the game where survival horror went full action hero, with a side of parasite tentacles and European cult creepiness. You play as Leon S. Kennedy, former rookie cop turned government agent with the hair of a K-pop idol and the reflexes of a caffeinated cat. Tasked with rescuing Ashley Graham from a backwoods Spanish nightmare fueled by a parasitic cult called Los Iluminados, Leon quickly finds himself fending off pitchfork mobs, castle freaks, and a literal Napoleon in need of a step stool. Gameplay? Absolutely revolutionary. Resident Evil 4 didn't just change the series, it rewrote the rules for third-person shooters. That over-the-shoulder aim? Iconic. The kick-to-the-face counter? Brutal. The inventory case that turns into a mini-game of spatial Tetris? Weirdly addictive. And don't forget the merchant. He pops up out of nowhere with the energy of your shady cousin at a garage sale. What are you buying? It's got epic boss fights, nerve-rattling quick-time events, terrifying mutations, and Ada Wong being cooler than the laws of physics should allow. 20 years later, it's still that game. The blueprint for modern action horror, and proof that saving the world can absolutely be stylish.
No reports on his activities for a very long time. So, for all I know, he could be dead.
Ты что, совсем сдурел? This tape proves that he's still alive. Now you just have to make him work.
Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. Agent 47 really thought he was done, living that ex-assassin life as a peaceful gardener in Sicily, chatting with priests, trimming hedges, until some goons snatch Reverend Vittorio and leave a ransom note like it's a budget mafia drama. So naturally, 47 dusts off his dual silver ballers, shines his bald head, and dives back into global stealth murder like it's Sunday service. Gameplay-wise, this one ditched the run-and-gun chaos of Codename 47 and embraced pure stealth nirvana. You can poison drinks, drop chandeliers, or walk right past your target disguised as a clueless waiter with a silenced pistol in your vest. Every level is a sandbox of murderous creativity. Want to be a ghost? Go full silent assassin. Prefer chaos? Sure, go mass murderer. But don't expect bonus weapons or respect from fellow bald men in suits. Disguises are your passport, but don't get too comfy. Guards get suspicious if you're running, packing the wrong weapon, or loitering like a weirdo. And if your cover's blown, good luck explaining why the florist has an AK-47. It's still one of the tightest stealth games out there, blending methodical puzzle solving with dark international intrigue. Silent Assassin still remains a masterclass in stylish strategic homicide. Red Dead Revolver. Meet Red Harlow, the original dusty drifter with a cowboy hat, a haunted past, and a revolver that's seen more action than a spaghetti western film festival. His peaceful childhood ended the day some gold-hungry goons murdered his folks, gave him a scorpion-shaped burn for trauma points, and ruined his whole vibe. Now, he's a bounty hunter with a vendetta, dead eyes, and a gunslinger glare that could cook chili. Gameplay's all about rootin', tootin', and lots of shootin'. Red Dead Revolver isn't open world like its sequels, but it packs punchy third-person action with a focus on duels, dead-eye shootouts, and boss battles that feel ripped straight out of an 80s Western VHS. You'll play not only as Red, but also as a British showman, a Native American warrior, a rancher with grit, and a literal buffalo soldier. It's like the Avengers of the Wild West, but with more bar fights and bullet wounds. The Deadeye system makes every standoff a stylish bullet ballet. Slow-mo, crosshair tagging, and then bam, 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 it's cowboy carnage in milliseconds. Add in a duel system that's equal parts finger gymnastics and nerve test, and you've got a gritty, grindhouse-flavoured western that laid the groundwork for Red Dead Redemption. Still one of Rockstar's boldest wildcards.
Not that I wish to imply you have been sleeping on the job. No one is more deserving of a rest, and all the effort in the world would have gone to waste.
Half-Life 2. Gordon Freeman is back, and he's traded the isolated labs of Black Mesa for the cold, totalitarian streets of City 17, where alien overlords called the Combine have Earth on a tight interdimensional leash. After 20 years in stasis, thanks G-Man, Gordon wakes up with no time to stretch and all the time to start a one-man revolution. And he's not alone. He's got Resistance friends, a sentient robot dog, and the best NPC companion in FPS history, Alex Vance. You'll blast through soldiers and zombies, but the real power lies in that gravity gun. It turns the entire world into a weapon. You'll hurl saw blades, launch toilets, and stack paint cans to solve puzzles. The physics-based madness blends seamlessly with vehicles, airboats, and dune buggies across a journey that never slows down. Valve's Source engine brought a gritty, Eastern Bloc aesthetic to life with haunting precision, while the story delivered dystopian dread without ever breaking first-person immersion. It redefined what FPS games could be: cerebral, cinematic, and deeply human, with a lot of crowbar violence. Even now, Half-Life 2 is a genre-defining, time-freezing masterpiece. Far Cry. Jack Carver was just trying to run a nice little boat business in the South Pacific. But nope. Next thing he knows, his boat's blown to smithereens, his client's gone full Lara Croft, and the jungle is crawling with trigger-happy mercs and steroid-addicted science experiments. Welcome to Far Cry, the game that threw you into a tropical war zone with just a pair of binoculars, a suspicious past, and a whole lot of attitude. At first glance, it's a typical island getaway, until you start hearing mutant screams echoing through the trees. The combat is old school, brutal, and gleefully sandboxy. You can flank enemies, sneak around with your camo pants, or go full Rambo with grenades and rocket launchers. But the real MVP? Those binoculars. You'll be tagging enemies, eavesdropping on suspicious conversations, and praying the flare guns don't light up the sky with reinforcements. And let's not forget Deadly Island Science, TM, courtesy of Dr. Krieger, who decides it's a great idea to turn people into hulked-out mutants that jump like kangaroos on creatine. The plot goes full sci-fi chaos fast, with tactical nukes, betrayals, and more green goo than a Nickelodeon awards show. 20 years later, it's still a gloriously wild ride through paradise gone mad where nothing's free except bullets. Call of Duty. Long before Call of Duty became a modern pop culture juggernaut, it was a gritty, boots-on-the-ground World War II shooter that dared to ask, what if you weren't a one-man army? Enter the original Call of Duty, where you're not Rambo, you're Private Whoever, dodging bullets and praying your AI squad mates don't eat a grenade while yelling MG42 ahead. You rotate through American, British and Soviet campaigns, reliving some of WW2's most iconic battles from different perspectives. Whether you're sabotaging Nazi V2 rockets with Captain Price, yes, that Price, or planting the Soviet flag in Stalingrad while ducking sniper fire with nothing but a single rifle and sheer willpower. Every mission's chaos feels calculated, and the constant shouting of "covering fire" somehow never gets old. Gameplay-wise, this was a revolution at the time. Iron sights? Check. AI teammates that don't just follow you like lost puppies? Big check. It emphasized suppressive fire, flanking maneuvers, and immersive battlefield chaos over the typical lone wolf FPS. And don't forget shell shock. Blow up too close to a grenade, and you'll be stumbling with ringing ears and a blurry screen like a soldier in a war movie montage. 20 years later, it's not the flashiest in the series, but it's the one that fired the first shot, and it still echoes through every corridor-clearing, grenade-lobbing mission that followed.
Sword. Time to go to work, guys.
Devil May Cry. You play as Dante, a silver-haired, pizza-loving half-demon with the confidence of a rock star and the weapon collection of a small army. When Trish, who looks suspiciously like Dante's mum, crashes into his office, she recruits him to stop the demon lord Mundus from invading the human world. What follows is a gothic fever dream on Mallet Island, part haunted castle, part hell dimension, and all kinds of stylish. Gameplay? Let's just say this game practically invented the word stylish. You're slicing enemies in mid-air, juggling them with bullets, switching between swordplay and gunfire in split seconds. Want to look extra flashy? Taunt your enemies mid-fight and watch your style rank climb from dull to stylish. And if things get hairy, hit that devil trigger and turn into a glowing demon of destruction with regenerating health and new moves. Sure, there are puzzles and platforming, but this game lives and dies by its buttery, smooth combat. Boss fights range from giant scorpion spiders to your mind-controlled evil twin brother Virgil, aka Nilo Angelo, all while the camera swirls dramatically around you. Even 20+ years later, Devil May Cry is still the benchmark for stylish action. It's fast, it's fierce, and it's got more edge than a closet full of katanas. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Pandora tomorrow. In Pandora tomorrow, Sam Fisher returns with a fresh load of gadgets, sass, and stealth. And this time, he's got a global bioterrorism crisis on his hands. Indonesian guerrillas, rogue CIA agents, and weaponized smallpox. Yep, just another day in third echelon. The plot sends Sam from East Timor to Paris, Jerusalem, and all the way to LAX, not for a vacation, but to save the US from becoming a real-time outbreak simulator. Gameplay takes everything great from the original Splinter Cell and quietly sneaks in some spicy upgrades. Sam can now whistle to distract guards, do that slick SWAT turn across doorways, shoot while hanging upside down like a stealthy ninja bat, and even open doors while lugging around unconscious bodies like he's relocating furniture. The laser sight on his pistol is new too. Finally, stylish takedowns with precision. The game's infamous multiplayer introduced spies versus mercs, which was basically 4D chess with night vision and heartbeat sensors. It was tense, brilliant, and a sweaty-palmed cat-and-mouse experience long before asymmetrical multiplayer became a thing. With Lalo Schifrin's soundtrack, slick global intrigue, and Sam's one-liners colder than a fridge full of ND-133 canisters, Pandora tomorrow remains a peak stealth action classic. It's not just about sneaking through shadows, it's about outsmarting enemies, outmaneuvering terrorists, and out-whispering guards one whistle at a time.
Okay, move out!
TimeSplitters 2. You play as the shiny-headed space marine Cortez, who dives headfirst into history to stop mutant aliens called TimeSplitters from rewriting humanity into oblivion. Each level sends you to a new time and place, from a haunted 1890s cathedral to a robot apocalypse in 2312, with Cortez inhabiting the body of someone already involved in the chaos, quantum leap style. 1 minute you're a spy in Siberia, the next you're blasting through cyber labs in the future with laser guns. Timeline whiplash never looked so fun. Gameplay is tight, frantic, and built for replayability. Every gunfight feels like a retro fever dream with modern muscle. AK-47s, ray guns, flare guns, even a brick. Yes, a brick. Style varies from pulse-pounding shootouts to banana-collecting challenges and zombie head-popping carnivals in challenge mode. And if that's not enough, you could spend days inside the mapmaker designing your own death arenas or full story campaigns. But it's the local multiplayer that became legendary. 4-player split screen, hundreds of characters, including a T-Rex and a gingerbread man, bots that could cartwheel better than you, and enough game modes to make your head spin. It was chaotic, hilarious, and never the same twice. With sharp humor, deep mechanics, and a time-traveling soul, TimeSplitters 2 was a genre-defying time capsule of everything amazing about early 2000s gaming. It's no wonder fans are still crying out, "It's time to split." 2 decades later.
Alias, back up.
Red Faction 2. If Red Faction gave you a taste of explosive, destructible mayhem on Mars, its sequel cranks everything up to 11 and brings the chaos home to Earth. Set in a dystopian future where democracy took a dirt nap and nanotech soldiers are very much a thing, you play as Alias, a demolitions expert with a taste for rebellion and a knack for turning structural integrity into Swiss cheese. Right from the jump, this one's all about adrenaline. Gone is the slow burn atmosphere of the first game. Red Faction 2 is pure action cinema, with a squad of genetically enhanced super soldiers, explosive betrayals, and one very evil statue. Missions throw you into chaotic shootouts, tank rampages, and mech battles, all in environments you can literally reshape. Why go through the door when you can blast through the wall like a Kool-Aid man with C4? The story spirals from overthrow the dictator to betrayed by your own squad again, and somehow ends with you climbing a skyscraper-sized statue, blowing it up mid-boss fight, and jetting off into the sunset, with 4 different possible endings depending on how heroic you were. Yep, it's that kind of game. And multiplayer? A glorious offline frenzy of bots, weird arenas, and wall-exploding tactics. Toss in the bot leveling system, because why shouldn't your AI enemies train to get better? And you've got a fast-paced, underrated classic that embraced full-scale destruction before it was cool. Red Faction 2 isn't subtle, but man, it's a blast.
Hi,
I'm Josie Marin, and I play Mia in Need for Speed Most Wanted. Make sure you do all your racing in the game. On the streets, drive safely and responsibly, and wear your seatbelt.
Need for Speed Most Wanted. Set in the daylight-soaked streets of Rockport City, Most Wanted throws you into the high-octane role of a racer with one mission: reclaim your ride and dominate the infamous blacklist. Your custom-tuned, V10-hungry BMW M3 GTR gets snatched by the greasy-fingered villain Razor after he rigs your race and your car. The result? You're busted, stripped of your wheels, and dumped right at the bottom of Rockport's food chain. But that's just the start. Unlike its neon-glazed underground predecessors, this game trades nightclubs and body kits for daylight chases and spike strips. You'll race through grungy factories, coastal highways, leafy suburbs, and downtown sprawl, all while being hunted by increasingly aggressive police squads that treat fender benders like federal offenses. And once they break out the SUVs and spike strips, it's basically Mad Max, Traffic Division. The game's biggest flex: police pursuits. You'll grind your way up the blacklist by winning races, earning bounty, and making headlines with your reckless driving. Defeat each of the 15 elite racers and you earn their car, or some sweet upgrades. Razor sits at the top, smugly flexing in your stolen BMW like he's in a rap video, but it's up to you to shut him down, take your car back, and humiliate him in front of his crew. Also, shout out to Speedbreaker, the slow-motion move that turns your car into a drifting rhino. Oh, and toll booth races? Those are time attack trials dressed like Fast and Furious deleted scenes. Every corner, every shortcut, every fake billboard hiding a secret alley counts. With 18 million copies sold, Most Wanted became a cultural icon, not just a game, but a rite of passage for racing fans. The soundtrack is legendary, the cutscenes are deliciously over-the-top FMV cheese, and the gameplay loop still holds up like a supercharged time capsule. Killzone. In the far future chaos of 2357, Killzone drops you smack in the middle of a sci-fi civil war between two ex-human factions, the sleek, polished ISE, Interplanetary Strategic Alliance, and the ominously gas-masked Helghast, who look like Darth Vader, got tactical upgrades. The fight isn't over Earth, it's over Vector, a lush, colonized world that the Helghast want back after being booted to the toxic wasteland of Helgun, where they mutated into rage-fueled, respirator-wearing super soldiers. You play as Jan Templar, an ISA captain so clean-cut he might as well be a walking recruitment poster. After the Helghast surprise invade Vector, thanks to the world's most suspiciously delayed defense system, Jan gets pulled into a mission to find the one guy who knows how the enemy pulled it off, Gregor Hacker, a half-Helghast intelligence officer. But Hacker's gone dark, the planet's overrun, and the only way forward is guns blazing through smog, steel, and a whole lot of Helghast troops. Gameplay-wise, Killzone serves up gritty, squad-based FPS action, with 4 playable characters: Templar, the balanced boy; Luger, stealthy sniper; Rico, machine gun enthusiast and walking anger issue; and Hacker, tech-savvy tactician with trust issues. You'll run and gun through war-torn trenches, ruined cities, and jungle ambushes, with visuals that push the PS2 to its moody, bloom-lit limits.
For in that moment I thought of one thing only: the honor and glory I would bring my father by fighting like a warrior in my first battle.
The Prince of Persia. If time is a river, the sands of time is the moment you pause the current, do a backflip, and then regret everything while running across a wall like it's a casual Tuesday. This legendary action-adventure reboot from Ubisoft Montreal breathed new life into the Prince of Persia series and practically reshaped what we expected from platforming and narrative in 3D games. You play as the Prince, unnamed, charmingly smug, and fully capable of acrobatic feats that defy both physics and OSHA safety regulations. After your dad sacks a mystical city because of reasons, you grab a shiny dagger of time and accidentally unleash a glowing sand apocalypse that turns everyone into howling, sandy zombies, real smooth. Now you and your equally confused companion, F.E.A.R, must fix what you broke by navigating death trap-infested palaces, solving lever-happy puzzles, and trying not to kill each other, or fall in love, which would be worse, obviously. The game's not just about swords swinging through cursed palace guards, it's about time, literally. That dagger you carry, it's not just for stabbing. With it, you can rewind time up to 10 seconds to undo botched jumps, combat blunders, or tragic betrayals by poorly timed spike traps. Later, you'll unlock the ability to slow down time, freeze enemies, or go full Quicksilver while everyone else moves in slow-mo, like they're underwater in molasses. And it all runs on that sweet golden sand you siphon from enemies and sparkly clouds. Ancient Persian tech was basically a magical hourglass hooked to adrenaline. Halo 2. Halo 2 was the game that turned Xbox Live into an absolute war zone and gave us one of the most iconic cliffhangers in gaming history. While the Chief was busy dual-wielding SMGs and punching brutes in the face, Arbiter brought the stealth and drama, making this campaign a surprising two-sided journey. The combat was tighter, dual-wielding was new and chaotic, and vehicle hijacking made every Warthog joyride a gamble. But what really changed everything? Matchmaking. Bungie revolutionized online multiplayer, giving us playlists, ranks, and the foundation for modern competitive shooters. Halo 2 was the birthplace of a new multiplayer culture. And yeah, that cliffhanger. Sir, finishing this fight. Boom! Credits. Every gamer screamed in disbelief. But even with a controversial ending, the ride was legendary. From high-charity betrayals to grave-mind poetry and plasma swords in Lockout, Halo 2 delivered unforgettable action, emotional depth, and endless hours of trash talk. It didn't just raise the bar, it launched it into orbit with a rocket launcher.
Well, I just got my ride all set up. Sort of.
Looks like that thing's held together with duct tape. Let's go skate.
Tony Hawk's Underground. Tony Hawk's Underground was the skateboarding game that said, let's stop picking pro skaters, you are the pro now. For the first time in the Tony Hawk series, the spotlight shifted from big-name borders to a create-your-own-character underdog story. And it wasn't really about tricks anymore. It was a ride through betrayal, friendship, and proving that soul skating beats sell-out greed. Gameplay-wise, Underground brought the usual kickflips and grinds, but added the game-changing ability to hop off your board, climb buildings, and explore new trick lines. You even drove cars in some missions, awkwardly, but hey, it was new. The trick system was smooth and stacked with combo potential, and the environments, from New Jersey to Moscow, were filled with hidden lines, quirky NPCs, and mission variety. But what really stuck? The story. Watching your best bud, Eric Sparrow, go full snake and steal your fame, only to challenge him for the rights to your own legacy in the final showdown? Iconic. It was personal, raw, and loaded with teen angst energy. Customization was insane for the time too. You could build parks, design decks, and even create your own tricks.
Let me see it. They're greens, 10s and 20s, used. I think we have a deal, my friend. Oh, shit!
Grand Theft Auto, Vice City. In a world of mullets, VHS tapes, and synths so sharp they could slice your Walkman cord, this game threw you into a neon-blasted fever dream of crime, chaos, and questionable fashion choice. You were Tommy Vercetti, a Hawaiian shirt-wearing, wisecrack-slinging ex-con turned criminal tycoon in a city that looked like Miami had one too many energy drinks. The plot was just a little something about a drug deal gone sideways, double crosses, building your own empire, and eventually kicking your old mob boss in the metaphorical teeth, all while trying to keep your pastel suit clean. Drive-by shootouts in convertibles, check. Owning a seedy strip club that prints money like it's a Xerox machine? Absolutely. You could hijack motorcycles, take part in paramedic side gigs, or just hop on a scooter and vibe out to Billie Jean. This was just sandbox mayhem. Even 2 decades later, its open-world design, pitch-perfect radio stations, and that ridiculously fun vibe make it feel fresher than your cousin's TikTok dance routine.
Where is your girlfriend, citizen?
Girlfriend? Hey, she's not my...
I will ask again. Where is Isabella Angelina?
Freedom fighters. When Soviet troops roll tanks into Manhattan like it's their backyard barbecue, you know things are about to get wild. And by wild, I mean a resistance-led, sewer-dwelling guerrilla uprising starring a plumber named Chris Stone. Yes, plumber. Freedom Fighters drops you into an alternate 1980s where the USSR didn't just win the Cold War, they brought it straight to NYC's doorstep. Gameplay is pure third-person squad-based bliss. You start small, just you and a pipe wrench, but as you pull off heroic stunts, blowing up Soviet propaganda, saving civilians, you gain charisma points. They let you command up to 12 AI teammates, issue simple orders like follow, attack, or defend, and feel like a true tactical mastermind as you reclaim New York block by block. The missions are non-linear, allowing clever players to sabotage supply lines before going for the kill. Even 20 years later, this one still slaps. Its combo of gritty resistance vibes, awesome soundtrack, and the ability to lead your very own mini-army makes it feel way ahead of its time. Chris Stone might be the most badass plumber since Mario.
Satellite coming down in 3, 2, 1.
Battlefield 2. There was a time when multiplayer shooters were simple, brutal, and didn't hold your hand with regenerating health and wall hacks dressed as UAVs. Enter Battlefield 2, the 2005 king of chaotic modern warfare that felt like a Red Bull-charged chess match with tanks, jets, and 64 real players screaming into their mics. Forget kill streaks. This was about capturing flags, forming squads, calling in artillery as a god-tier commander, and frantically sprinting across strike at Karkand, hoping you don't get sniped mid-jump like a caffeinated gazelle. On the ground, you had a job, be it healing your squad mates with defibs, turning tanks into scrap metal with RPGs, or sneaking behind enemy lines to slap C4 on helicopters. Each class played a vital role. The gameplay loop: spawn, survive, scream, repeat. With real-world inspired weapons, vehicles, and factions like the USMC China and the not-so-friendly Middle Eastern coalition, the stakes always felt massive. You weren't just in a shooter, you were in a full-blown war. Even 20 years later, fans still revive this beast with mods and private servers, because honestly, no modern shooter today captures that perfect blend of teamwork, chaos, and oh god, someone fix the bridge, quite like Battlefield 2. Burnout Revenge. Let's be honest, sometimes you don't want to race clean. You want to crash into rush hour traffic, use minivans as missiles, and yeet your enemies into oncoming buses. That's where Burnout Revenge comes skidding in like a rage-fueled burnout fantasy. Released in 2005 and still ridiculously fun 20 years later, this chaotic classic lets you treat traffic laws like optional suggestions from a timid passenger. Forget brakes. This game hands you boost, takedowns, and traffic checking like they're candy at a demolition derby. The joy isn't just in winning races, but in humiliating your opponents by shoving them face first into delivery trucks. And the best part, it rewards you for driving recklessly. Drift, tailgate, and launch a rival off a ramp? Here's a boost refill, legend. Oh, and the more dramatic your crash, the better. Crash Breaker mode literally lets you blow up your own wreck to cause even more carnage. Genius. It's bumper-to-bumper therapy with explosions. Unreal Tournament. Forget everything you know about slow tactical shooters. This one is pure rocket-fueled chaos in sneakers. Unreal Tournament 2004. Dodge jumps through walls, rips across maps in flaming buggies, and celebrates victory with a flak cannon to your 20 years later, and it's still the gaming equivalent of a double espresso, followed by a punch in the jaw. This game takes the arena shooter to absurd new heights, literally by introducing vehicles, flying death machines, turret gunners, and the glorious mayhem that is Onslaught mode. Want to blow up a power core while drifting a hover tank through plasma? It's Tuesday in UT 2004, and let's talk movement. Wall dodge, shield jump, backflip over a rail, and land in a shock rifle combo explosion like a cyber ninja hopped up on Code Red. From assault objective madness to bombing run, basically rugby with explosions, there's a mode here for every kind of digital psychopath. And with over 100 maps, the replayability is infinite, especially once you fall down the mod rabbit hole and find fan-made content that makes official maps look like training wheels. No microtransactions, no hand-holding, just speed, skill, and style. Still an all-timer, still unreal. WWE SmackDown. Here comes the pain. Here comes the pain. The game that suplexed an entire generation of fans straight through their nostalgia receptors. Even 20 years later, this bad boy still delivers a chair shot of pure wrestling chaos, and it does it with style, sweat, and screaming pyros. It was the SmackDown game, and honestly, it still body slams half the modern roster of WWE games out of the ring. The gameplay? Crisp, fast, and brutal. For the first time, the grappling system had actual depth. Suddenly, timing and character stats mattered. You could see body damage, feel the struggle in submission meters, and, chef's kiss, rope breaks became a strategic savior, not just a passive animation. And let's not forget the Elimination Chamber, making its steel cage debut like an unhinged Thunderdome. Add in bra and panties matches, yep, the early 2000s were wild, and the backstage brawling was basically a demolition derby with humans. Roster-wise, it's an absolute fever dream. Prime era Brock Lesnar, check. Maskless Kane, check. Debuts of Cena, Batista and Rey Mysterio, triple check. Legends like Piper and Snooker, cherry on top. Hitman Blood Money. If ever there was a time to wear a black suit, red tie and bring a fiber wire to work, it was 2006, because Hitman Blood Money slammed open the stealth genre's back door like a bald-headed ghost with a barcode and a grudge. This was the moment Agent 47 became the assassin. And 2 decades later, it still slaps harder than a silver baller to the face. Gameplay-wise, Blood Money is like a murderous sandbox where creativity is your best friend, and poor impulse control is encouraged. Want to push a corrupt senator off a balcony mid-opera? Done. Rig a barbecue to flambe a wine snob? Sure. Make a hit look like a tragic chandelier accident? You little sociopath, go for it. Every mission is a dance of disguise, timing, and perfectly staged accidents, unless you prefer the guns blazing, hide the body later route. which it generously allows but judges you. And let's not forget the iconic newspaper wrap-up. Every mission ends with your crimes turned tabloid fodder, where your stealth is scored, your gun choice is roasted, and your face gets sketched worse each time. A legendary classic that made murder stylish. The Punisher. This game may have dropped onto your PS2 like just another licensed tie-in, but what it really did was invite you to a full-on ultra-violent therapy session with Frank Castle as your emotional support war machine. This was a brutal comic book fever dream wrapped in sadistic glory and splattered with blood, bullets and one-liners, gruffer than gravel gargled in bourbon. Gameplay was a savage third-person blend of Max Payne-style shootouts and Saw-level interrogation scenes. Apart from shooting bad guys, you slammed their heads into piranha tanks, shoved them into power drills, and waterboarded them in urinals, all to extract info or just, express yourself. Slaughter mode kicked things into full rage-powered overdrive, letting Frank dual-wield knives like a demon chef on bath salts. You had 3 guns, some grenades, and a whole city of mob scum begging to meet your boots. What really made it tick, though, was the twisted narrative flair. Part movie sequel, part comic adaptation, and 100% revenge-fueled chaos. From Russian mobsters to Bushwhacker, and even a surprise cameo by Iron Man Tech, it felt like Marvel's darkest corners came alive. Even 20 years later, it's still one hell of a guilty pleasure. Ninja Gaiden. This legendary Xbox powerhouse hit like a shuriken to the face and instantly demanded 2 things: your respect and your full muscle memory. The plot's simple enough. Ryu Hayabusa's clan gets absolutely wrecked, their sacred dragon blade stolen, and his childhood friend Kureha turned into a kebab by Doku, a demon samurai in spiky armor. So, Ryu does what any super ninja in a sleeveless onesie would do. He straps on his wooden sandals and goes on a roaring revenge tour across gothic palaces, cat-filled temples, hellish fiend realms, and futuristic zeppelins to clean house. Oh, and he literally dies in the first chapter and comes back like it's just part of his daily schedule. Casual. Gameplay, it was straight up mean. Every enemy wanted to be that guy who sent you back to your last dragon statue save point. But once it clicked, oh baby, you're juggling demons, chaining air slashes, triggering flashy ultimate techniques, and dodging like a caffeinated ninja hamster. Between its brutally smooth controls, deep weapon selection, and a story that ends with your uncle betraying you with a demon blade, classic, Ninja Gaiden still slashes harder than most games 2 decades later.
Bring the battle closer.
Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. Released in 2005, this bad boy is like a symphony of night vision goggles, one-liners, and pure tactical brilliance. Set in a tech-noir world on the brink of global war, you play as everyone's favourite gravel-voiced shadow dweller, sliding into hotspots around the globe, with only a knife, a silencer, and your deep-seated mistrust of fluorescent lighting. The gameplay is smoother than Fisher's sarcastic wit. Whether you're dangling from a pipe to interrogate a guard with a whispery growl, or snapping necks in the dark while humming sea shanties, probably, Chaos Theory gives you options. Want to be non-lethal and ghost-like? Cool. Prefer to play it like it's a shadowy John Wick simulator? You got it. It even lets you drop baddies off balconies and pull them into bottomless pits, like the world's most dramatic bouncer. AI got smarter too. Guards now check for weird shadows, freak out when the coffee machine goes kaput, and will straight up shoot at your reflection in mirrors. And let's not forget the spy gadget. Sticky cams, shockers, gas grenades, and a silenced pistol with a gadget that makes computers explode into digital sadness. Peak 2000s tech. Almost 20 years later, Chaos Theory still holds up as a stealth legend, equal parts cinematic thriller, gadget geek fest, and tactical playground. Metroid Prime. Retro Studios and Nintendo said, "You want a shooter?" And then drop-kicked the genre in a vat of Phazon, came back with a game that was half moody exploration, half lore-rich mystery, and all pure sci-fi excellence. Set on the toxic, tragic planet of Talon 4, you step back into the shiny orange boots of Samus Aran, now viewed through her visor for the first time in series history. This was Metroid reimagined. The HUD looks like it's embedded in your skull, complete with heat visors, X-rays, and a gloriously chunky scan tool that lets you read every lore panel, space pirate diary entry, or Chozo prophecy with delicious immersion. You're scanning ancient runes, morph-balling through alien plumbing, and piecing together a dying planet's tragic story, one upgrade at a time. Combat's tight, but it's the exploration that's the star here. And that final stretch? You go full alien exterminator, take down Meta Ridley, then dive into the impact crater for a boss fight against Metroid Prime itself, culminating in an ending that teases a mysterious new life form shaped like Samus. The 2023 remaster proves this legend's only gotten sharper with age, because if Samus taught us anything, it's that sometimes the quietest heroes have the loudest impact.
But you died!
When you give in to fear, the darkness comes.
Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. This one hit like a psychic grenade in 2001, detonating every idea players had about what a stealth action blockbuster could or should be. Hideo Kojima whipped out a 1,000-piece conspiracy corkboard, poured gasoline on it, and lit it on fire while whispering, "This is the future." You start off as the legendary Solid Snake, slipping onto a tanker to uncover a new Metal Gear, only for the game to pull a switcheroo and drop you into the sneakers of Raiden, a fresh-faced rookie tossed into the Big Shell terrorist crisis 2 years later. From ducking around corners and snapping necks to hanging off railings and shooting out radio, the gameplay deepened the stealth formula to near surgical precision. Enemies now hunted you in squads, took cover, and called for backup like they actually had brains. And that tension of being truly outgunned turned every hallway into a tactical puzzle. Fake news, digital surveillance, information control, puppet governments. Sons of Liberty dove into everything society would start panicking about years later. The Patriots, AI control, meme theory, echo chambers. It called out the entire information age collapse before most of us even knew what a social media feed was. Payne. Smashed into gaming in 2001 like a sweaty, trench-coated wrecking ball, flipping the third-person shooter genre on its head with all the grace of a John Woo movie marathon doused in rain and whiskey. You play as Max himself, a broken, grieving ex-cop who's so deep in the underworld of New York that even the rats are filing restraining orders. What kicks the door down is bullet time. That glorious slow-motion dive through a hail of bullets that made every gunfight look like an Oscar-winning action flick inside your Xbox or PS2. Gameplay was about doing it in style. Dual Berettas blazing, shotguns spinning, Max hurtled through crumbling buildings and grimy subway tunnels with a grimace so intense it could sand wood. Health pickups were good old painkillers, because of course they were, and every kill recharged your bullet time meter, just enough to turn every skirmish into a slow-mo ballet of headshots and blood spatters. And between the chaos, gritty graphic novel panels, narrated in Max's world-weary growl, dripping with noir poetry about pain, betrayal, and very, very bad luck. More than 2 decades later, Max Payne still feels cooler than half the stuff hitting shelves today. A bloody, stylish opera of sorrow that showed gamers it's not just what you shoot, but how dramatically you dive through a window while doing it.
Demon Slayer, Dante.
Devil May Cry 2. This game tried to strut into 2003 with stylish demon-slaying swagger, but somewhere along the way, it tripped over its own oversized trench coat and landed flat on its face. Though, hey, at least it looked cool doing it. You pick between the stone-faced Dante or newcomer Lucia, both armed to the teeth with flashy moves, big swords, and guns that never seem to run out of bullets, mowing through hordes of forgettable monsters across the surprisingly sleepy island of Via de Marli. Combat sticks to the series' style counts philosophy, rewarding you for being flashy, fast, and creative, though this time it judges you harsher than a bad talent show judge after 3 cups of coffee. There's even a desperation mode when your health gets low, because nothing says good life choices like glowing red horns and blowing up everything near you. Despite the mixed reviews and a Dante who looked like he was way too chill about the apocalypse, Devil May Cry 2 still carved a bloody niche and laid some groundwork that future games would polish into legendary form.
This contains everything you need to know. Read it on the flight. Be careful, Dr. Jones. The path to the dragon's heart is more dangerous than you can imagine.
It always is, sweetheart.
Indiana Jones and the Emperor's Tomb. Cracking whips, brawling Nazis, and a globe-trotting hunt for ancient artifacts. Sounds like just another Tuesday for everyone's favorite fedora-wearing archaeologist. Dropping you straight into 1935, this wild adventure will throw you into dense jungles, sinister castles, sunken ruins, and the terracotta labyrinth of China's first emperor. You'll punch, kick, shoot, whip swing, and occasionally smash a chair leg over someone's head, all while dodging traps that seem like OSHA violations waiting to happen. The combat is gritty. The puzzles are classic indie brain teasers, and the atmosphere somehow captures that sweaty, pulpy 1930s action spirit perfectly. You'll wrestle with some clunky camera angles and occasionally curse while trying to whip swing at just the right time. But when you're cracking open secret tombs and taking down mystical dragons, it's hard not to feel like a total legend. Even with its rough edges, this ride brings the thrills, spills, and enough adventure to make you want to grab a satchel, dodge a few booby traps, and mutter, "Fortune and glory, kid, fortune and glory." Battlefield 1942. If you ever dreamed of charging into World War II chaos with a wrench in one hand and a bazooka in the other, this is the game that threw you headfirst into the madness. Set across sprawling battlefields, ripped right from history books, you'll find yourself storming beaches, bombing airfields, and desperately yelling at your squad mates to please capture the dang flag before your team runs out of tickets and dignity. The gameplay will toss you between sniping from dusty hills, driving a tank through bombed-out towns, dogfighting in clunky fighter planes, and repairing jeeps while bullets zip by like angry hornets. Every match feels like an improvised, beautiful mess of strategy, teamwork, and hilarious misfires, especially when someone accidentally crashes the bomber you're all riding in. Even today, it's still a masterclass in why Battlefield became the king of large-scale multiplayer madness. Grab a rifle, yell, "For the Allies," or "For the Axis," and get ready to either save the day or respawn in shame.
High-level threat. Angry man on the move. Gamma sensors are lit up. I'm looking to engage. Help me! Going down!
The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction. This beast of a sandbox is all about unleashing untamed, gamma-powered chaos across a destructible open world. Whether you're drop-kicking helicopters from rooftops or wearing buses as boxing gloves, the sheer ridiculousness of your power feels like it's dialed up to 11, broke the dial, and then punched it into orbit. What sets this green monster free from his angsty banner baggage is the freedom to rampage with style. The move list grows with every busted wall and ruined jeep, letting you upgrade from simple slams to air juggles and car shield combos. The missions might dip into some repetitive structure, but the moment-to-moment gameplay is the closest thing to controlled chaos since a toddler with a foam bat in a china shop. Critics praised the raw, untamed fun of tearing through the city like a gamma hurricane, and for good reason. Even if you don't care about the plot, just hurling a tank at a chopper mid-jump will make you feel like a superhero, or maybe just a really, really angry green one.
Come on, Harry. Scabbers went this way. Scabbers, come here, you little...
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. You ever wanted to cast spells, solve magical puzzles, and occasionally just yeet yourself across a moving train? Well, this 2004 wizarding ride will let you do just that. But depending on which version you're playing, your Hogwarts adventure might feel wildly different. This game is a magical chimera. The PC edition feels like a spell-slinging puzzle book. The console version goes full third-person adventure with EyeToy shenanigans, and the GBA one? Straight-up RPG time, turn-based spells and all. Across them all, you'll step into the robes of not just Harry, but also Hermione and Ron, which means triple the teenage wizard's sass and puzzle-solving potential. You'll learn spells like Carpe Retractum, basically magical Spider-Manning, Expecto Patronum, cue dramatic Dementor takedowns, and even a cursed sneeze spell. From dodging hippogriff-based flying lessons to stealthing around with an invisibility cloak like it's Hogwarts. Metal Gear Solid Edition. This game throws a lot of variety your way. Sure, the graphics might feel a bit 2004 budget title with a licensed coat of paint, and the camera occasionally has the grace of a drunken pixie, but for fans, there's charm. It's not the slickest magic on the shelf, but hey, flying buckbeak and stunning boggarts with your squad? Still a pretty fun ride. Soul Calibur 2. Now, this was the fighting game that made you cancel your weekend plans, dust off your favourite controller, and maybe argue with your sibling over who gets to play as Link first. This 2002 sequel handed you a ridiculously flashy arsenal, let you battle across every medieval tinted arena imaginable, and tossed in some of the wildest guest characters ever seen in a fighter. Spawn, Heihachi, Link. It was like Smash Brothers went through a hot topic phase, and we loved every minute of it. Under all the cinematic clashes and exaggerated weapon flourishes, the gameplay was a thing of beauty. You could dodge, parry, cancel, roll, and counter like a samurai ballerina. And when you clashed swords mid-swing and that bright flash filled the screen, peak drama. Then came Weapon Master Mode. Part RPG, part fighting gauntlet, part collector's fever dream. You'd unlock joke weapons, cursed blades, and costume sets like you were hoarding medieval action figures. And don't get us started on Link's arsenal. Bombs, arrows, and a boomerang. On top of swordplay. Unfair, but so good. Each character had their own flair, and even joke weapons had weird backstories. Nightmare was still the spikiest edgelord around. Talim brought the Wind Dancer energy. And Volder, well, let's just say he still made everyone uncomfortable in the best way. F.E.A.R. This game brought Matrix energy to Silent Hill atmosphere, and then cranked the AI so high you'd swear the enemies had finished college before showing up. You were Point Man, silent, scary fast, and part of a Black Ops squad that kicked down doors only when the paranormal started kicking back. Your squad? Cool, professional, short-lived. Your enemies? Cloned soldiers under the command of a brain-eating telepath named Paxton Fettel, who somehow made muttering existential riddles into a legitimate scare tactic. And oh yeah, every now and then a little girl named Alma would just appear, standing silently, whispering, or absolutely flooding your brain with horrifying visions. Fun! What made the gameplay unforgettable wasn't just the weapons, though that nail gun was chef's kiss. It was how the AI treated you like a legitimate threat. Enemies flanked you, flushed you out with grenades, vaulted over cover, and screamed for backup like they were actually trying to live. Combine that with reflex time, aka slow motion badass mode, and you got something that played like John Wick versus The Ring. Need for Speed Underground. This was the Fast and Furious era, condensed into a gloriously modded Honda Civic, topped with a flaming vinyl and underglow so bright it probably violated local laws. Gone were the exotics of earlier NFS games. Say hello to tuner culture. Olympic City was your proving ground, dripping in rain-slick streets, aggressive synths, and late-night vibes where every curve was a dare and every win meant respect. The game introduced a proper story for the first time in the series, and while it wasn't Shakespeare, it had enough drama to fuel a street soap opera. You had rivalries, betrayal, a fiery pink slip battle, and yes, Eddie and Melissa, the dynamic duo of arrogance and attitude just waiting for you to climb your way to the top and knock their smugness out of orbit. Drag racing demanded perfect timing, or you'd grenade your engine in a cloud of shame. Drifting turned the track into a balance beam of finesse and brake taps. And circuit? That's where legends were made and bumpers were lost. Add nitrous to the mix, and you were rocket launching through the city with a grin that would make Vin Diesel proud.
Ah, the prodigal son returns, huh?
Hey, Johnson, since when does LAPD issue weapons to meter maids?
True crime streets of LA. This game was Activision's bold swing at the GTA formula, but don't be fooled by the badge and gun. This game let you be just as reckless as any Grand Theft Auto anti-hero, with one major difference: everything you did could tip the scales between good cop and bad cop. You played as Nicholas Kang, a wisecracking, rule-breaking LAPD detective who talked like a Hollywood action star and kicked like he was moonlighting as a martial arts instructor. He was on a mission to unravel the mystery behind his dad's disappearance, adding some personal stakes to his already chaotic day job. The game tossed you into a shockingly large and fairly detailed version of Los Angeles, over 240 square miles of city, complete with recognizable street names, neighborhoods like Beverly Hills and Santa Monica, and a ton of random street crimes that would constantly interrupt your commute like spam calls. Gameplay-wise, this wasn't just drive, shoot, repeat. You had 4 flavors of gameplay. Gunfights with precision targeting, green for non-lethal, red for oops. Melee brawls that let you chain combos and throws like a fighting game. Stealth segments with glass-crunching tension, and wild car chases complete with tail meters and destructible bumpers. You could be a vigilante cop in a muscle car or a city menace with a badge. It all depended on your playstyle. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. A galaxy-spanning, morality-defining RPG that let you wield the Force, swing a lightsaber, and decide the fate of the Republic, all while unraveling one of the best twists in video game history. Set nearly 4,000 years before Darth Vader's whole breathing problem, this story dropped you into a republic on the brink of collapse. A new Sith Lord, Darth Malak, was tearing across the galaxy like an overachieving intern of evil. You? You were just a nameless amnesiac with a suspicious connection to the Jedi and a bad case of recurring dream sequences. But through branching conversations, class upgrades, and some serious Force choices, your character would become something far more complicated than just another Jedi. The gameplay hit that sweet BioWare balance of stat nerdiness and cinematic flair. You could pause and queue up combat like a space chess master, choosing lightsaber strikes, force lightning, or just a good old-fashioned blaster shot to the face. Dialogue trees gave you the power to charm, lie, threaten, or go full Paragon Renegade. 3 years before Mass Effect made that cool. Your alignment actually changed your appearance, drift toward the dark side, and you'd end up looking like a pale-eyed goth villain straight out of Coruscant's most dramatic soap opera. And the companions? Iconic. You had Karth Onasi, the most neurotic space pilot ever, Bastila Shan, Force prodigy with SAS levels over 9,000, and HK-47, a gleefully murderous droid who called humans meatbags before it was cool. Warhammer 40k Dawn of War. This game dropped players into the chaotic meat grinder of planet Tartarus, where the only things more common than bolter fire were betrayals and demons. Playing as Captain Gabriel Angelos of the Blood Ravens, you lead Space Marines in a brutal campaign against rampaging orcs, only to uncover a deeper chaos plot, orchestrated by the Alpha Legion's sorcerer, Sindri Meyer. As tensions rise between Angelos, the Inquisition's Mordecai Toth, and mysterious Eldar forces led by Farseer Machar, the planet's dark secret emerges. It's a massive altar to Khorne, the Chaos God of Blood. Gameplay emphasized fast-paced tactical control, squad reinforcement, and capturing strategic points, shifting real-time strategy into brutal frontline warfare. You'd clash in tight firefights, reinforce squads mid-battle, and unleash heavy-hitting heroes, all while managing morale and cover. The story crescendos when Angelos is betrayed by his closest friend, librarian Isidore, who succumbs to chaos. After defeating him and the summoned demon prince, Angelos smashes the maledictum, only to unknowingly release the greater demon trapped within.
Hey, hold it. You go where I say, when I say.
The Chronicles of Riddick Escape from Butcher Bay. Set before pitch black, it puts you in the prison-shivved shoes of Richard B. Riddick, voiced with menace by Vin Diesel himself, as he claws his way out of the fortress-like Butcher Bay. Mixing stealth, melee combat, and immersive world-building, the game ditched the traditional HUD for a cinematic first-person experience that emphasized close-quarters brutality and environmental stealth. Riddick's iconic eye-shine ability, granted in a surreal sequence deep in the sewers, turned darkness into your ally, letting you stalk enemies like a predator in the dark. The story packs a full prison saga. Riots, psychotic guards, mutant sewer dwellers, and secret experiments, all orbiting around Riddick's singular goal, freedom. Even when captured again and again, he keeps climbing deeper into the facility's madness. By the end, you're hijacking mechs, executing corrupt wardens, and walking away with a smirk and a stolen starship. Critics rightly hailed it as better than the movie A Rare Feat. Brutal, bold, and way ahead of its time, Butcher Bay was Riddick unleashed. Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Our next game took a bold, brooding leap from its bright predecessor, trading whimsical charm for metal riffs, dark temples, and gallons of existential dread. 7 years after the prince reversed time in the sands of time, fate has come collecting in the form of the Dahaka, a massive shadowy beast dead set on correcting his mistake. With no other option, the prince sails to the foreboding island of time to stop the creation of the sands entirely. Gameplay gets a visceral overhaul. Gone are the elegant swipes, replaced by brutal dual-wielding combos, environmental kills, and acrobatic dismemberments. You'll parkour through a non-linear nightmare of shifting timeline, revisiting the same cursed cathedrals and hallways in both the past and the present, solving puzzles, avoiding traps, and fleeing relentless Dahaka chase sequences. The time powers return too, from slow-mo kills to last-second rewinds, with added area attacks that clear enemies with sand-powered flair. The tones shift polarized fans. This prince is gritty, angry, and full of eyeliner energy, but the combat, level design, and multiple endings, including one with a killer water sword showdown, earned it praise. Love it or loathe it, Warrior Within was bold, bloody, and unforgettable. World of Warcraft. Set in the richly detailed, fantasy-packed world of Azeroth, this MMORPG let players step into the boots of humans, orcs, elves, and more, forming alliances or rivalries across epic landscapes and dungeons. Whether you were storming Blackrock Mountain, grinding your way through Stranglethorn Vale, or dying repeatedly in Molten Core, WoW served up non-stop adventure with lore thick enough to choke an ogre. Blizzard built a digital society. Raiding required coordination. PvP needed nerves of steel. Auction house drama, realer than any economy course. With dungeons, professions, flying mounts, and a steady drip feed of expansions, WoW grew from addictive curiosity to cultural touchstone. At its peak, it commanded over 12 million subscribers and rewrote the rules on what online gaming could be. And with classic WoW, The War Within, and more expansions still rolling, the game remains immortal. One truth still remains: you'll always be one bad pull away from wiping your group and loving every second of it. For the Horde or Alliance. We won't judge much.
But Kratos had no need for the love of petty gods. He had found a new family in the warriors of Sparta, gaining solace from his past in the carnage of battle.
God of War 2. This game was a divine middle finger to the gods of predictability. Kratos, fresh off turning Ares into Greek red sauce in the first game, starts off as the new god of war, but gets sucker-punched by Zeus, stripped of his powers, stabbed, and yeeted into the underworld. Rough day. But Kratos doesn't do death like normal mortals. Thanks to Gaia and some serious Titan therapy, he sets out on a brutal, myth-shattering quest to rewrite fate itself by hunting down the Sisters of Fate and jamming a blade of Olympus-sized vendetta straight into Zeus's ribs. Combat in God of War 2 is peak hack-and-slash mayhem. The Blades of Athena are back, and they brought some new buddies, a giant hammer, the Spear of Destiny, and oh yeah, a rage mode that would make a Titan blush. There are double the boss fights, better puzzles, and more mythological monster blood than a Hydra family reunion. And the plot? It's Greek tragedy on steroids. Betrayals, revelations, Zeus's daddy, time travel, and a climactic ending that sees Kratos leading the Titans up Mount Olympus like it's Black Friday at War God Walmart.
We have them on radar, sir. They'll be landing in a few moments.
Excellent. See that Counselor Swan is sent directly to me.
Yes, sir.
Doom 3. In 2145, humanity's big red science experiment on Mars went straight to hell, literally. With teleportation, bioresearch, and weapons R&D all crammed into one shady facility, the UAC's Mars base was practically begging for a demonic invasion. And thanks to one very possessed and power-hungry Dr. Betruger, that's exactly what happened. One unlucky space marine, you, arrives just in time to witness the chaos erupt, scientists screaming, lights flickering, demons clawing through walls, and every corridor dripping with dread. What follows is a flashlight flickering, shotgun-blasting crawl through some of the most claustrophobic hallways in gaming. You're constantly choosing flashlight or weapon, see your enemy or shoot your enemy, until the BFG edition made that decision for you. Between the soul-devouring demons, whispering walls, betrayals, and your final boss showdown with a skyscraper-sized cyber demon, it's a full metal descent into hell. And just when you think you've won, that smirking dragon demon at the end lets you know the nightmare's far from over. The Warriors. In 1970s New York, every gang dreams of ruling the streets. But for one crew from Coney Island, that dream turns into a full-blown nightmare. After a truce meeting between all the city's gangs goes off the rails with the assassination of the Rift's leader, Cyrus, the Warriors get framed for the hit. Suddenly the entire city turns hostile, and the only way home is through turf crawling with rival gangs, bloodthirsty cops, and one lunatic with a revolver and a big mouth. The action kicks off months before that fateful meeting, letting players brawl their way up through the underground as the Warriors earn their colours and reputation. Tagging turf, mugging jerks, smashing storefronts, and taking down street crews like the Hi-Hats and Orphans all build the rep needed to earn a seat at the table. But when everything goes sideways and the night becomes a desperate run for survival, the gameplay hits another gear. From dodge the cops' alley dashes to epic subway brawls, it's a long night home, and not everyone's going to make it.
Approaching atmosphere. Please begin re-entry sequence.
TimeSplitters, Future Perfect. It all kicks off in the year 2401, right after a certain space marine blasts a space station out of the sky and crash lands back on Earth like it's just another Tuesday. Enter Sergeant Cortez, the bald-headed badass with time on his side, and one very sarcastic AI named Anya in his ear. What starts as a cleanup job turns into a wild sci-fi adventure across multiple timelines to stop the creation of a horrifying enemy race known as the TimeSplitters. From a haunted Scottish island in 1924 to a groovy spy mission in 1969, a zombie-infested mansion in the 90s, a high-tech lab in 2052, and all the way to a robot-controlled apocalypse in 2243, Cortez zips through time, slinging quips, guns, and occasional punches to history's weirdest faces. Along the way, he teams up with some seriously memorable sidekicks like Captain Ash, the poshest shooter alive, Harry Tipper, the flower-powered secret agent, JoBeth Casey, a teen goth with a shotgun, and R110, a sassy robot who's cooler than half the humans in the story. With time loops, future meets past tag team battles, and a final showdown with a cybernetic Dr. Crow that involves not one but two Cortezes, it's a chaotic time travel joyride that proves one thing. It's time to split. Phew! That was a blast through pixel-perfect greatness, wasn't it? These games still slap after 20 years, and honestly, some of them put modern games to shame. If any of your favorites made the list, smash that like to show them some love. And if we missed a hidden gem that deserves a spotlight, drop it in the comments. We're always down to discover more retro magic. Make sure to subscribe if you're all about that classic game energy, because we're just getting started. Till next time, keep those memory cards safe and your CRTs warm.
Hey, it's OG Loc, homie, and I'ma kick a little something like this. Come with a gun in your face, I spit it hotter than anybody in the world could do.
That
It's
shit
like
sucks. Damn.